Charlie loved election night streams, and you, the audience, tuned in by the droves to hear Charlie do it. So we're going to honor Charlie. We're going to remember him, honor his legacy, and we're going to be right here again tonight. So set your clocks. We're just going to start at 7:30 Eastern, correct? That's when we're starting the stream, 7:30 Eastern?
I think maybe 6:30 Eastern. You may,
it's the mountain time.
Yeah,
6:30 Eastern. I apologize. So glad I did that. Jack Posobiec, Human Events Daily host, joining us today. He's in town this week, as well as Blake Neff, back from assignment. Always good to have you, buddy.
Yeah. And, I want to open, just before we forget about it, okay, we're going to be talking about New Jersey. We're going to be talking about Virginia. We're going to be talking about New York. But there are a lot of other places you could be voting if you haven't voted yet. If you live in Minneapolis, your mayor's up today. You've got Gross Jacob Fry, but he's running against Omar Fateh, the kind of Somali goblin-looking guy.
Gross versus Grosser.
Voting that. California, we have Prop 50, is it?
Prop 50.
To gerrymander the state. You could vote in that if you're one of our many California people. All of you guys were always begging, Charlie, get more involved in California. That is a race you guys could make a difference in.
Such a good point. And by the way,
Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Pennsylvania Supreme Court.
Listen, this show has a huge audience in a lot of different parts of the country. But actually, weirdly enough, the California, it's partly just because there's so many people in California, but we also have great radio spread in California. We have a huge audience in California. And so to your point, Blake, Prop 50, is it yes or no, Blake?
Oh, man, I can't remember.
I believe no. I'm going to give you the answer. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No.
It's vote no on Prop 50. There's been this is basically to reverse a referendum vote where the state of California. By the way, you know what's hilarious about this Prop 50 thing is that they set up an independent commission. Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people, has been out loud and proud on this, saying vote no. And I appreciate his efforts. Whatever past disagreements we might have, he's right on this. And, even the independent commission has been radically corrupted because, remember, you get mostly Democrats that are on the independent commission. So, it's better than Prop 50, but even the independent commission could use a lot of work. That's the bottom line in a state like California. But, Jack, let's turn our sights to the east, okay? So we've got the four biggest areas of focus is going to be Chitterelli in New Jersey. So vote for Chitterelli. We've got Virginia. We've got Winsome-Sears, and then we got the AG race, which is actually probably the closer of the two. We got you. So if you're thinking Winsome-Sears can't win and it's not worth going out, put those thoughts aside. You need to put those thoughts aside because here's the deal. Everybody needs to get out, pull the trigger for Winsome-Sears. That's probably the worst analogy I could use in that race. But you need to vote for Winsome. You need to get out and vote for Winsome.
Get out there.
And then we also need to get the AG race over the top. And that one really has a chance, big time, I would say. I don't know where the prediction markets are, but we need everybody in Virginia to think positive thoughts, get out to the polls, and make sure that the top cop in that state does not end up being Jay Jones, who is a real problem, who has fantasized and fetishized the murder of his political opponents as well as their children. This cannot be. So Jay Jones must be defeated soundly. The good people of Virginia get out to the polls. So we've got New Jersey, Chitterelli. We've got Virginia. We've got Mamdani versus Cuomo. There's been some big moves in that race. Jack, there is some I would say movement in the fact that Elon Musk has come out and endorsed Cuomo. President Trump has come out and endorsed Cuomo. Now, Zoran is saying, this is a reason to vote for me, of course, which is exactly what you'd expect him to do. Do we see any signs of life for the Cuomo camp? I mean, because there's different areas of thought here. There's different schools of thought saying that Zoran's outpaced and we just can't catch up with him. Or are we seeing this race tighten?
Well, before I answer, and we are seeing there are some signs of that, but there is one thing that I do want to say is that for all the people who will be voting today and all the people who need to be voting, there is one person who will not be voting today. And there is a person who voted every single election, but this for the first time, I guess since he turned 18, who will not be voting today for the first election. And his name is Charlie Kirk. Charlie will not be voting today. Charlie should be sitting right here today, covering down on the election day coverage today and then all night on the Super Stream, which was, and we all know this, it was his favorite night of the year was election night. All right, he absolutely loved doing this. That's why we're going to keep the tradition going and be here. Tyler will be here as well. But Charlie Kirk will not be voting tonight. And Charlie Kirk will not be hosting tonight. And we know why. Because a violent leftist stole that right from him. A violent leftist stole that right to vote, his right to freedom of speech, his right to everything. And so for everybody out there, go out and vote today and do it for Charlie.
Amen. Do it for Charlie. And by the way, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the vote against retention.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, so it's no. Yeah, so the way these races are, it's no. So Pennsylvania, you've got races. Look, everyone's got an election. Go out and vote today. Obviously, the races are close there. You mentioned the AG race. I pulled that up on the prediction markets, and believe it or not, about it looked like yesterday the race really tightened up. Just as of last night, it tightened up from suddenly the Republican, Jason Miyare's flew, I'm looking on Kalshi, he dropped way down to almost 50%, and it looked like the Democrat Jay Jones was ticking up to above 50% at one point. This is the prediction markets on Kalshi, right? And then, but now all of a sudden today, as of 11 a.m. East Coast time, and I guess it's noon East Coast time, that suddenly now Jason Miyares is pulling away with it. He's now back up to about 57%. So there was this strange tightening and now, a diving out. On the New York race, which is the one you asked me about, and I'm not going to be one of those guys who doesn't answer questions, we saw some really interesting data out of Kalshi, and I got this for New Jersey as well, that even though it looked as though Mandami is running away with it, if you break it down to Kalshi traders who have come in from New York only. So if you parse out the data and say, okay, everyone who's outside of New York City, we're gonna take that out. Suddenly Cuomo's up 9 points.
Well, and I want to say this too, and I know that's a really interesting. So insiders inside the city are actually more bullish on Cuomo, and we saw that poll from Atlas that showed that the race was tightening in the final stretch here, that Cuomo was making up some ground. Zoran was not putting his best foot forward. This is something we talked about with Mark Halperin actually last week, that, sort of this grievance politics, the guilting Cuomo about not visiting a mosque or whatever. These were not good looks. Something about Zoran's, his mojo has been off here in the final stretch of this race, and he's looking very, very vulnerable. He's not talking like a winner. He's not talking like somebody. Or the contrary to that, the other opinion would be that he is assuming that he's going to win and the mask is fully off. But regardless, Atlas has the race very much within striking distance, which is. Listen, if we could get one miracle today, listen, I'll take all three. But I want to leave you guys with this before we get to our ad partner in this segment, is that regardless of what happens today, we are playing offense on their turf. Think about this. Virginia basically was thought to be a blue state. Then Glenn Youngkin took it back. But, we kind of knew that Glenn Youngkin was an exceptional candidate, and he took it back, made the state a little bit more red for a time, right? So that's basically a blue state. We're playing offense in that state. New Jersey, blue state. Chitterelli could really win that race today. Chitterelli could really win the New York or the New Jersey governor's race
if Republicans turn out.
Yeah, if Republicans turn out. And Pennsylvania, we could stop the communist takeover of that state as well from a judicial standpoint. So we're playing offense on their turf. So look alive, be encouraged. There's reason for hope here, and we need to stay on it.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.